All right, let's talk about addiction, narcissism, and recovery and healing, right? We talked a little bit about how narcissism and addiction are a disease of the soul because it's a disconnection from sense of self, and how with both addiction and narcissism, it's lies, right? The way a narcissist shows up, everything is a lie. It's all their persona. They twist the truth over and over again. And somebody with addiction is the same thing, right? They hide their addiction in the shadows. Because if they shine the light of consciousness on it, or if they were open and honest about what's happening, they probably have to do something, right? So that's the major thing. So if destruction and, all of the worst types of behaviors, the most difficult types of personalities like narcissism and even like sociopaths, if it's being in the dark, right, and in the shadows, if it's lies, it only follows that recovery is about truth. If you think about it, a big tenet, even like in AA, and I love the 12-step process. I think it mimics therapy and healing. I mean, it encapsulates what therapy and healing is all about. But a major tenet is about truth. Even like when people introduce themselves, "Hi, I'm so-and-so and I'm an alcoholic." It's naming the truth. Right? And I think about that a lot, like even in working with people in a moment where maybe there's something intense going on and I could tell maybe they're trying to avoid something. The question is, wait, is there some sadness there right now? What's underneath that for you? I'm trying to help them confront themselves and the truth. Because if you can confront the truth, that's when you heal, right? But we spend so much time covering it up with distractions, addictions, don't look over here, don't look over there, that we kind of start to forget what the truth is. So, going back to addiction and narcissism and recovery, we know that obviously people with addiction can absolutely recover. They go through the 12 steps. A big piece of the 12 steps is making amends, doing a life review, doing a catalog of all the horrible things that have happened to you. Again, truth, acknowledging what's happened, and then going out, apologizing, ownership, like truly owning the things that you've done. Again, that's truth, right? And so somebody that has addiction can absolutely enter recovery and heal and go from being kind of in the darkness to the light, and go from, recovering from the destructive behavior that is addiction. Now, somebody with narcissism, not so much. I always tell people, a narcissist is not going to recover unless they go through a crazy, like jolting life experience, like a near-death experience. I talked about this once in another recording. There was a guy named Dan Brinkley who's a self-proclaimed narcissist before he actually had a near-death experience. Terrible person, mean, all he cared about was himself, no ownership, did really horrible things. He was like a CIA sniper, like killed villages with women and children, like really bad, but a bully, egomaniac, you name it, right? He got struck by lightning and went through one of the longest in record history near-death experiences where he had a life review. Like literally when he crossed over, it was a life review, and he was confronted with all the terrible things that he did. So again, truth. And in that process, they gave him the opportunity to come back. This is his way of telling it. By the way, he was a total atheist before, so the whole thing is really interesting. Anyways, he comes back, and now for the last 30 years, he does hospice work. He helps people transition in their time of death, right? So he helps them and guides them in that process. All he wants to do now is help people, because he realized what he was doing before was wrong. So he was a narcissist that I probably wouldn't be diagnosed a narcissist anymore, because he confronted the truth of everything that he had done, and he took ownership for it. So he was actually able to enter recovery. So when I say maybe if they go through a near-death experience, I'm not totally joking. It really is. And if you think about it, a narcissist needs something that jolts them out of their ego. All they have is their ego. That is like the foundation of their personality. They don't have anything deeper because they don't have a strong sense of self. So their persona, their outward image is literally who they are. To be able to step outside of that is almost like impossible, unless, like, again, they're forced to do it, like a near-death experience. From all of my studies, that's what essentially that evokes that experience, that third-person perspective where you can step outside of your experience and experience objectivity, right? A narcissist is totally subjective. They cannot take on anybody else's perspective. So that's why the recovery for a narcissist probably won't happen. And that's why if you're around a narcissist, unless they have a near-death experience, I would maintain your boundaries. But the good news is for, folks that have addiction, or maybe yourself, you're struggling, there's things that you can do, right? If you are struggling and you're having a hard time, ask yourself, what's the truth? Go through and look at all the things that have happened to you. Take ownership. The path towards the light and healing is truth, fundamentally. So I guess I wanted to hit on that a little bit. People ask me a lot, can somebody with narcissism recover? The answer is probably no, unless they have like a really like life-jolting experience, like a near-death experience, and then it's possible. Luckily, addiction, they can. So that's the definite difference between an addict and somebody with narcissism. Somebody with addiction can absolutely recover. And coming out of the shadows, correcting that disease of the soul through shining a light of consciousness, being honest, being truthful, owning what is. All right, there's a little bit on that. That's it for today.